Hello friends, today we're going to be painting the Bladeguard veteran that we assembled in my last video. We're going to be painting him in Space Wolf colors. I know that he doesn't have the proper kit for a Space Wolf, but I like their colors and I like the idea of Space Wolf, so I figured I'd give it a shot. I'm not going to be playing anytime soon, I'm just painting more for fun. I primed him in black and white, sort of simulating the light source from the front and top left. I'm not going to use contrast paints, but at least I'm going to use that highlighting to show me where I should be focusing my highlights. His back is mostly in shadow, his front is mostly in light. I'm going to use Stegadon Steel Gray for the base, and maybe some Abaddon Black. But let's get started with getting the Stegadon out on the palette. Don't want to get it too wet, but we want to get it wet. Okay. So we've got the Stegadon green. We're going to start with the darkest parts, meaning his back. And we'll come in with black later to get the actual parts that are black. I'm going to do this first just because I'm going to come back and base the leather after, so if I catch any areas that I shouldn't, I will fix it shortly. And we'll flip them over underneath to make sure we get the undersides. Alrighty. And we'll move on up his back, getting his backpack. We're going to flip him again so that we get his insides. Not being super careful with my brush because I know I'm going to come back in here and do some of these details more closely. But I am trying to get every exposed area colored the correct color so that at least all of the primer is covered up. Let's pull it close to inspect it. It looks more or less good. Nope, psych, I lied. There's some areas I left out. I suppose we should get the back of his loincloth. And I'm actually going to flip him over again so I can get the back of his helmet here. And the interior of his backpack. And again below here on his jetpack. Okay, so that's the base color, a dark base done. I'll go over one more layer. I'm gonna add a little more water to the paint just to thin it out. And again, we'll flip him over so I can get the inside of his armor. Okay, let me just take a quick peek at it, make sure we covered everything we needed to cover. Okay, I think that's about it. Now we're going to mix the Stegadon green with Russ. Alright, now that we've mixed Stegadon green with rust gray, we're going to come in here and get the midtones. Fairly decent now. Alright, let's get the leather and the shield blocked in, and the sword as well. We should probably do the sword in the same. Okay, so for the base for the shield, it's going to be like an ivory color, so we're going to use Rakarth flesh. Then for his loincloth, we're going to use Ushapti bone and a little bit of brown. I know he kind of looks a little patchy right now, but I'm going to come back in a little bit later and fix that with another shade. And I'll take the dark brown and do the leather. Alright, so our base coat is finally done. So we finished doing the base, and we are ready to start doing some detail work with shades and midtones and highlights. So let's get him from looking like a blob to looking like a detailed Space Marine Bladeguard veteran. So I think we'll start with the power armor, or maybe we should start with the pauldrons and get the Space Wolf yellow in there. Yeah, I think we'll do that. Let's start with the pauldrons. So I'm going to mix a little bit of the yellow with the Mournfang brown to give us a darker yellow. And then we'll layer on the yellow on top of that. We don't want it too dark, but we don't want it too overpoweringly bright either. So all I've done is I've dried my brush off, and I'm actually picking that pigment back up because I have to take some water out of this paint. And I think I will switch my brush at this point to a layer brush. Alright, while we wait for that one to firm up, I'm going to start on this side. Okay, so that's one layer on. It's going to take a couple layers to get it exactly right. Okay, this pauldron is looking a little better now. It's taken a few layers to get that to hold, but it's coming along. Okay, infinitely better now that we're getting some layers on there. Now let's start on some of these other areas. So I think we're done with the rust gray parts with the midtones. Now we're going to be working on highlights and shades. So let's get started. We're going to use Fenrisian gray for some highlights. Then we're going to move on to the glacier blue. All right, that seems like it's good. So now we're just going to go in and highlight the brightest parts. So remember the light source is coming from this angle. So it's going to hit the front of the shield and then cross down across his armor and leg. So let's start with the leg. And then inside here, it'll hit the top of this kneecap. And then down the side of that plate. And then on the arm there, as you can see where our highlight is at, just a little bit. But not on the lower fingers there, those are going to stay dark. And then we'll do it right across the top of this pauldron. And then along the top. And then we'll add some highlights over here along his helmet. And we'll go back in and add some shadows. Just doing the very edge of his breastplate. Alright, let's touch on some of the backpack elements. And then down here on the elbow. Now we'll get an even smaller brush and do the ice white, the ice blue, glacier blue. And I'm just taking some red for his eye lenses. A little hard to see his eyes there, but they are red. I'm just getting the wax here on these seals. Everything is dry. I think we're good on the armor for now. So let's move on to the cloth and the shield. So we're gonna use a lighter tone to go in for the brighter spots. Let's let that dry for a tick. Now let's go back in again and do another coat. Now while we're doing that, let's work on the shield. Now we're going to get some of the darker color I mixed up earlier. Alrighty, so we are ready to paint the metallic outlines on the shield, the symbol, and the sword, as well as some of the other emblems and the buckles. So let's get a little water. Yeah, at this point I think I'm just going to bronze out all the skulls. They look nice. Now all that's left is to do the patterns on his pauldrons, and I think a little wash on the Aquila on the chest and the shield, and the parchment, maybe a little highlighting on the holster, and that's it. I think it came out pretty good. For me being as new to painting as I am, I like it. Alright, so now what we need is black. And then essentially what we're doing is making 2 black triangles on this left pauldron. From the center down. That one's done. Painting a wolf head is going to be a lot harder. I'll just pretend the rest is hidden behind the shield there. I can't really reach down and get it anyways. But that's a pretty good kind of wolf. This one's a lot cleaner. You got our wolf. Alright, let's give this a little wash. Just a little bit with the Agrex Earthshade in some of the metal areas. Almost finished. Let's get the Earthshade and just do a little touch up. Okay, so everything is dry, the wash is dry, it looks good. I rebased his sword in Stegodon Scale Green, and since he's a Space Wolf from the planet Fenris, we're going to make his sword kind of icy, I think. Or no, at least I'm going to attempt to do that. So, let's go do some stuff. So, I don't have that many blues, so I'm going to grab McCrag Blue and thin it down a little bit. I'm going to mix up some McCrag with the ice. And once the McCrag dries, we're going to go back over and do that. We had to give it the same treatment on the underside as well. Mid-tone blue. It's not exactly coming out how I wanted it to come out. I think I'm just going to change it to a regular silver. Give him a little yellow on his sword, whatever that power thing is. Make it Space Wolf yellow. I just put on the Armageddon Dust texture technical paint. Looks good. So this is the actual finished model. As far as his paint job, he is all finished. So thank you very much for watching. See you again soon.